Today I'm going to talk about how abiding in lies and how flirting with distractions is committing adultery with our Creator. We are either all in to becoming His or we are none in. This is why Yeshua said that His Father will vomit out the lukewarm. This is also why He said that we are either for Him or we are against Him. There is no middle ground. Being lukewarm is not going to find you in His favor. You can't say that you are in bed with your Creator's truth, eating, sleeping, and drinking it as your sole source of food and drink, and still flirt with the world and abide in the distractions or in the lies. If you are still flirting with the world, you will remain in bed with it, or you will end up back in bed with it. Yeshua said in Matthew 5:28, "But I say to you that whosoever looks on a woman to desire or to covet her has committed adultery with her already in his heart." This instruction has a dual meaning in the form of a parable. Our Creator knows that what our eyes want to look at or what our ears want to hear shows where our heart's desires truly are. This is because our eyes and our ears reflect what we eat and drink. He wants our heart's desires becoming the same as His desires, and His desire is that we learn to love as He loved and become as He is, His righteous character. If you are lending your ear to hearing what the enemy is saying, this shows that you are interested in what he has to say. This is true even if you also want to hear what your Creator is saying. Some are on the fence, and being on the fence is not going to be a place to be in the coming days. He wants us to be set apart to Him, to be instructed by Him, and only by Him. He wants us set apart from all that defiles us or distracts us from learning His righteousness. He wants us focused on what He is doing, and He is building a family. He wants us focused on becoming His family and helping others become part of His family. This morning I reflected on the large Christian organization called Focus on the Family. As I was thinking about things, I was thinking about the works that they do, that they claim to do in our Creator's name. It is good that they oppose abortion and oppose homosexuality and things like this, but they seek to help families become happy and living in lies, and this is outright evil. Their works are founded in lawlessness. Lending ears to organizations like this is adultery to your Creator. Soon their headquarters in Colorado Springs will be consumed in an earthquake. It will be a pile of rubble, just as will all of man's blasphemies of our Creator's word, who will be consumed in one way or another by His wrath. If I were you, I would not so much as want to walk by any of Satan's many houses of worship that are found on so many of the street corners and streets today. I recently was asked, what if I cannot flee to the mountains? What about me? I'm not sure what this person's reasons are for not being able to flee, but there certainly could be a variety of reasons why this might be the case for some. They might be all alone and elderly and not physically able to flee, or they might be a woman that is all alone with children and no resources to flee. And of course, there are others that probably could find the resources that are just too scared to flee. I know that when we fled, whenever our Creator showed me it was time to flee, we couldn't flee, and we just sold everything we had, and it was amazing how things just worked out. We left it all. What we didn't sell everything we had because it wasn't time for that, but sold what we could quickly and gave the rest away, and we haven't been without ever since. My response to these people who cannot flee is, trust and obey our Elohim and leave the consequences to Him. He is merciful and He is just, and He searches out the hearts of those who want to be in agreement with Him. But our eyes need to be single on Him and on His focus to build His family. We need to be focused on doing His will. Yeshua said in Matthew 6:22 and 23, "The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, if your eye is single or focused on the light, then your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is evil or not single on the light, then your whole body will be full of darkness. Therefore, if the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Children of the light live in the light. They do not want anything to do with the darkness except to let His light shine upon it. Children of the light focus on keeping their lamps full of the right oil and not on the conspiracy theories and on what the enemy is doing. A conspiracy theory of a dam breaking is not going to point someone to the light when it breaks. It will point them to the darkness, because they might think that it was the forces behind the conspiracy that caused it to break instead of our Creator and His wrath. It would lead them to the truth. Do you think that Satan did not know that a dam like the Hoover Dam would one day be brought to ruin, since he knows Bible prophecy as well? So don't you think that he would set up a distraction to this event like he has with everything else? He has a distraction with about everything, all these different forms of religion, and even all the different forms of Christianity. A bit of a truth in this one, a bit of the truth in that one, and mixes it all together to keep people in the swill. Someone just sent something to me that says that the latest scoop of swill was that the ancient Elohims, or ancient gods, they say, are returning to us as aliens or something like that. It is amazing how many beds of distraction that the enemy has set up for people to choose to go a-whoring after. This has been allowed to happen because our Creator is testing and trying us to search out those who will be found living to be in His favor by believing Him. This is why He put the enemy here. It is all part of His testing and refining process. Our eyes must be single on the truth and becoming it and nothing else if we want to pass the testing process and be found in His favor. It is the truth that we must become a chaste virgin to, not the enemy's beds of confusion that take our eyes away from the truth that sets us free. If it is our Elohim's will to join in with Him in warning the people that His wrath is coming and why, then we need to be all in with what He is restoring and what He is telling us to do. People are worried about things like the Hoover Dam conspiracies and other distractions, and these conspiracy theories will lead people away from the truth when they do happen. And focus on things like this are leading people from the focus on the truth now, because they consume the mind, consume our time. Who cares about these things? They don't matter. I would not want to be downstream of the Hoover Dam or any other large dam anyway, because many of them will be bust loose in the coming days. But what is knowing about the Hoover Dam conspiracy or any other conspiracy going to do to point anyone to the truth that will deliver them? What do these things have to do with the family business of our Creator building His family? How is knowing about or studying different conspiracies helping you to draw closer to learning His righteousness so that you can become part of His family? Learning His righteous judgment explains to us why these dams will soon break anyway, and along with why everything else will happen. All of these things are part of the wine of fornication, because people get intoxicated with them, and all they are is distractions. Some are absorbed in them because of fear. We must not fear anything except not being found in our Elohim's favor. The world is drunk on the distractions, and they are not becoming virgins to their Creator. This has always been the case. They are committing a harlotry with Him. So to the person that cannot flee on a physical plane, He says, become a chaste virgin to Him, and He will deliver you one way or another. Even if you die, so what? Will He not resurrect you in His time if He loves you and you are found loving Him when you do die? He is going to be in the miracle business in a great way to those who will become chaste unto Him. But you cannot be in bed with the enemy and still be found in his favor. And flirting with the enemy is still being in bed with them in our Creator's eyes, because He knows that what flirting leads to. It is adultery to flirt, just as it is adultery for a man to look in want of another woman who is not his wife. You might not consider it flirting, but if your eye is not single on the light, then you are flirting with the darkness, even if it's just because of fear that you're doing so. Take your eyes off of the darkness and focus on that which will cast out fear. And just as Yeshua says in this verse, how great is this darkness if your eyes are on it? Our eyes and our ears tell on us. I said before, they're the telltale signs of where our heart's desires are, or where our fear is. Someone might claim that they are trying to warn others about a conspiracy in order to open up a line of communication with them to later tell them about the truth. This line of thinking comes from Saul's teachings that he was all things to all people so that he could spread his blasphemies. This line of thinking is a lie. We must be children of our Elohim, or children of the light, and nothing else. Our eyes must be single on his will, and our speech must become his speech. Helping spread Satan's distractions is not our Maker's will. It has been asked of me recently, what about those who have not heard the truth? My question to people who ask this question is, what have they done to tell them the truth? Have they even lived it to be an example to them and to the world? Is telling them about some information that comes from some false teacher like Paul Begley or Ron Weinland or Chris White or any other of the countless blasphemous shepherds in the world today spreading the truth? Or is it helping spread the lies? Is even a part focus on the conspiracy theories helping any of you become the truth so that you can help spread it? Is it helping you learn the truth so that you can teach it to your children so that they can become children of the truth or children of the light? Is this divided focus helping any of you learn the truth so that you can speak of it to one another from the time that you get up in the morning until you go to bed at night? And are you going to bed at night a chaste virgin so that your focus can be on his truth in the night watches so that his angels will be camped around your bed and protect you? Because I can guarantee you, if you're taken in the darkness in any way, shape, or form at night, that becomes your fear in the night watches, or it can become part of it, or it can consume your time and your mind and just rot your wiring in your brain away. Being delivered starts with getting out of the enemy's bed and becoming a chaste virgin to our Elohim. It is putting the cork in the bottle of fornication and not taking another sip from it. As far as those who have not heard, they would have heard if the world was not drunk on the wine of fornication. They would have heard if those who did hear had hearkened to their Creator and lived his truth and spread it. It was our fault that the world has not heard. Yeshua commanded us to take the truth to the world and to teach all to obey all that was given to us and to baptize them into the contract of bearing their name. What each of you doing about bearing his name now is what matters. Each of you are doing. And bearing his name includes crying aloud and sparing not at this time, because he has sent forth the command for us to do so. And if you can flee now, he has sent forth his command to do this. But if you cannot, then you will need to be focused on bearing his name and becoming as he is, just as those who can flee must do. You must not fear anything but fearing to bear his name in vain. But if possible, I would not want to be found anywhere near the focus on the family complex in Colorado Springs that I mentioned here in this video, or any other religious building in the coming days. I suggest that your focus is on Yahweh Elohim's family and becoming part of it, no matter if you can flee or not. He must be our fear, and then perfect love cast out fear. I mentioned the other day how there are lots of signs that point to November 9th as being a hub of sorts, if not the beginning of the 150 days of torment itself. Very possible. I pointed out that one of the many tie-ins to this day is that it is 55 days after the 188-day pattern, and showed how 55 days is significant. I also shared in this video how he is using both this number and the number 40 in his end time sequence of events to tie in the dates. The way it couldn't just be figured out by anybody, and showing his all powerful perfect timing as well. For this reason, I also want to point out that in a couple of days is October 25th, and this day is 40 days from this last 188-day break, referring to the earthquake, the last one in the sequence of 3. He has not given me anything specific for this date, and there certainly is not a large number of other tie-ins like there are to the November 9th date, but I felt I should speak of it today. All of this shows just how close we are to this unraveling. And this urgency shows the importance of getting out of the enemy's bed quickly if you are in it. So whether you can flee or not, I would not want to be found with one toe under his sheets. And if you really think about it, even if Yeshua's return was years away, what are any of you doing sleeping with the enemy anyway? You might say, I'm not really sleeping with him because I also listen to the truth and I'm trying to obey our Creator. I will tell you that if one toe is in the swimming pool, then you are in the swimming pool, no matter how you want to justify it. The enemy's bed is a cesspool of swell. It is not keeping your eyes single. If any part of your focus is not on the light, then your eyes are not being single. The enemy has many signs and lying wonders planned that he has set up to keep people in the captivity. He has known that these things were coming, so he has hijacked them to set up more nets to keep people snared in. I have spoken on how one of his favorite tactics is to hijack the truth and to pervert it. He has done this with our Creator's symbolism of the New Jerusalem coming down as a cube, for an example, and perverting his other symbolisms as well. I spoke on some of them in these videos. This is what he did with his boy Saul of Tarsus, and it is the same thing that his servants do today. They hijack the truth and mix it in with their lies, their blasphemies. There are many out there serving Satan who speak of the coming time of affliction, but are they pointing people to the truth that will deliver them? Or are they just saying, confess the name of Jesus and give your heart to him and you will be saved? Or maybe they are speaking to keep the commandments even, like the false prophet Ron Weiland speaks of, yet they are not teaching what they are, nor keeping them themselves. Maybe they are teaching the false day of worship on the fixed day of the week on man's calendar, like Saturday or Sunday. Or maybe they're teaching some other blasphemy. Many of them teach some truths. This is how Satan works. This is how he's mixing in things. He knows there's going to be natural disasters, so they're speaking of these things. They're prophesying about such, and they're going to take claim that they're part of the truth because they knew these things were happening. Whether things like the Hoover Dam or whatever else there is, all they are is distractions from the truth. And Satan and his servants are hijacking what Satan knows is coming. He influences people's minds and their thoughts. False prophet Ron Weiland teaches some things correct, like clean and unclean foods. Who cares? He also teaches many blasphemies that lead people away from the truth that would deliver them. Who cares if he mixes in some truth? No lie is of the truth. And believe me, he's going to be taking credit for the natural disasters that are happening. People will listen to him because he's written some things in his books, and even though they haven't come to pass as he spoke, he's explained that away and spiritualized it away to a point where people will be like, oh, well, he knew about some of this stuff. Well, all he is Satan's servant. My point is, if you are listening to these teachers, you are in bed with the enemy. If you are helping the enemy spread his distractions, you are in bed with him. So the most important thing that all of you need to flee from is the enemy's bed, and get in bed with the truth as the chaste virgin. No matter what your circumstances are, you can do this, and then you can leave the consequences to him who created you, whom you have shown your love to and your allegiance to.